another common pain point that we saw come up a lot was resources. Now, these pain points are a little tricky. I think, Mary, you kind of alluded to this. Like, we don't exactly know what people meant with what they wrote on their little card with their pain point. So I wish we could go back and talk to some of the people who wrote resources and some of the other things too. But take a stab at it, will you?
Yes, I will. Sure. So when I think about lack of resources, so we clearly can't say, like five, whatever it is, or whatever that may be. But I think that one of the things that I think is very, very helpful is to not recreate the wheel all the time, right? This kind of goes back to you have so much to do, let's improve our process. And I like to build repositories for resources that I've looked at previously. So if I'm doing a case and it has a policy and we think that there is a chance that that policy will be referenced again in the future, putting it there. And so that way, every time we get a case like this, we don't have to go hunt for it again. This can be rider manuals, policies, procedures, regulations, cases, anything that you think may be used again in the future, you should have a way to document it. And kind of going back to the how you track cases, I don't know what kind of case management everyone has. I do think that it can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet with a link to something. We use SharePoint a lot here, and I found, I don't know if this is just really common knowledge, and it took me a really long time to catch on, but we found if you're in a SharePoint site and you click on new, there's a place there for you to be able to link something, like add a hyperlink, which was a game changer for us because that meant we didn't have to do all things. It was really helpful. So you can link the hyperlink, and then you can also add a PDF, but that way it'll live there. And then just making sure it's organized, it's able to be used by other people within your organization. So everybody's not doing it on their own. And there is one general hub of the resources that you're using, I think can be great. And I know it can be somewhat of a controversial topic in the world right now, but is the use of AI. So if I don't know something that I think, I don't know, rules and regulations in North Dakota or whatever it may be, like Medicare rules for wherever, I really like the use of Perplexity. Again, we're not getting paid by them. We're not sponsored. We have no affiliation. But if your agency allows you to use certain resources like that, and if they don't, stop listening now. But if they do, Perplexity is a really great one because it will give you the resources. So you can just click right on it and it'll open a new tab and bring you to whatever it is that it's referencing. And the reason that's better is some of these other ones will just give you an answer and you have no idea if it's right or wrong. And it's very hard to find it. But Perplexity does that. It does give you the sources. Now, I will say that it is often, maybe not often, but it can be wrong. There have been times where we've gone to those sources and we're seeing what it's saying that this source says, and that's not what it says. And what I like to do here is tell it that it's wrong. It seems weird to talk to a computer, but it's part of how AI grows. I guess, I don't know, I'm not a techie, but I'll just say like, oh, actually, you're kind of dumb. This is actually what it says, and like show it to them or whatever, tell them, and then usually they're like, oh my gosh, you're right, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, I'm smarter than a computer today. But yeah, so that's a good one, Perplexity. Any additions?
Sure. So I think Mary touched on, through the investigative process, like where and how you can stay organized with the resources that you have available. And just to echo that, I think even considering like what you do in the overpayment and education process, right? You might be referencing the same regulations or, provider policies and things in those stages of your investigation. So definitely making sure that when you're drafting an overpayment letter or findings letter, that you're, keeping track of, some of the language that you used in terms of why the denials were found so that you can repurpose those, at a later time and really save yourself some time in the long run.
Love that. Just working smarter, not harder, and knowing yourself and your system. So like saving links in SharePoint, where everyone can access them, or maybe keeping a OneNote tab of the ones that you personally are using all the time. And maybe copy that and share them out with your team every once in a while if you can. But I think it's so great what you guys are saying. And Mary, I love that you brought up Perplexity too, because I do think Perplexity is just really kind of Google 2.0 because it gives you the references. It's different from ChatGPT, where you kind of just need to take things at face value, which as an investigator, I don't think any of us would really ever do. But Perplexity has helped me a lot. And I like the idea of the trust but verify. Here's the link. Here's where I saw it. This is what the computer's interpreting. This is what I'm interpreting. And like, good on you for shaping the face of AI and giving them feedback and training their model and algorithm. I think that's awesome. So thank you for sharing that tip. I never thought to respond back until you told me that a couple months ago. So I have been doing the same. I'm trying to help shape the future with you as well, but you are our AI queen, so you know it a little better.
I always used to say I was a good investigator because I Googled really well, and that just pretty much made me decent at my job. But now I don't even have to Google well because I can just ask it and then verify what it says. So it's definitely cut out a lot of time, which is, again, helps with the overarching issue of not enough time to do all the things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.